How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to Continues to Tick. Well, now would it be fair to say Happy Valentine's Day? As mentioned last week, we now find ourselves in the midway mark of February, and truly it's only downhill from here. Or uphill, considering timer years move up in count, right? Not down. Anyhow, I hope you guys have been able to manage what continues to be a rather volatile market. I know we each have our own way of doing things when it comes to our finances, but I figured given the time since my last update, and also given I've gone up 1 year in age since my last video of this sort, I figured it may be a good time to share with you once again my current and updated financial goals, currently now at the age of 26. So, sorry to disappoint. If you were expecting today to be a more story style video, I love making those, but sometimes we just gotta open up the textbook and read, so to speak. So this week's video is going to be rather technical in that sense, but I hope you don't mind so much. But given it's a day of love, so love you shall. Don't forget your Valentines, even if that Valentine's is yourself. Now, there's nothing wrong with not having a Valentine's. I was never the best at the whole dating thing. Thank goodness I found a partner, and because so, it makes it quite easy now. You still gotta ask though, and don't forget that part. But here we find ourselves in need of a mind cleanser now, and because of that, how about a picture of a Valentine's Day card you know you'd love to receive? So from me to you, happy Valentine's Day. But now moving forward into a more serious tone, now at the age of 26, what are my goals financially? I often think of them, so this may also be a good time for you to think of yours also. And trust me, they change, and that's okay. Being able to remain flexible has its benefits, and in terms of long-term planning, that is totally not a bad thing. It means you can adjust with the times and aren't as rigid to the process or easily disappointed when things don't work out. And on the flip side, if you know yourself and are known to not like change, that's okay too. I'm sure many of us don't. And just remember, it's a challenge really, either way. But I'll be the first to admit, if you go back to look at my last year's video, which I'll try to link down below, and besides just the 54 subscribers at that time, there's been some notable changes in some parts of my goals. And again, that is okay. So first things first, as you know, I'm growing up a dividend portfolio on this channel. I really enjoy the strategy of dividend investing, and honestly, I wouldn't be investing in any other way. But with this said, I think of the future with this strategy. And because of this, I know it takes time, and that time I should have, but it's not guaranteed. But we think of it anyway, in hopes that if the time does arrive, we'll be ready, or we'll be there. As for my first goal, I'm currently 26 years old, and I plan to call it quits in the workforce, at the latest, by the age of 50, and hopefully not a day more. I try to remain rather realistic with my retirement age. I wish I could say, I plan to retire at the age of 35, or 40, or 42, but each time I run the numbers, I just don't see it. I don't see it because I know myself, and I'm going to want to live better in my golden years than I do now, then live the same for the rest of my life, and retire early. I know everyone's different, but I know that in retirement, I want to live well. I want to drive a nice car, maybe like a Tesla, in my retirement, maybe have a nice $1 million+ home in San Diego, and take multiple vacations every year, and so on. So considering these factors, I really can't have it before 50. I've ran the numbers, and there's just really no way, unless something out of the ordinary happens. And although it's already a challenge to get it at 50, I think that I can achieve it on my current track. And I guess as a side note, with considering any goals to make, try your best to make them realistic to you. This sets you up for success rather than failure, sets you up for confidence rather than disappointment. So do just keep things in mind. Not to say you can't retire at 35. This is just to say I can't. And I have come to terms with that. It was a process on its own. And now in speaking of careers, and going back to the dividend portfolio, I guess I should say I do work as a registered nurse in the state of California. And because of this, I should have a rather nice shovel to toss in generous amounts of funds into the portfolio for many years ahead. This steady income will ultimately allow me the freedom to invest $500 every week, which equates to about $2,000 every month, or $26,000 a year into my dividend portfolio, which is my current plan. And looking at the calculation here, with rather conservative numbers, I should have over $1 million dividend portfolio, about a $2 million dividend portfolio even, by the age of 50 when I go to retire. So this part I do take in stride, and in base hits, meaning this is my ultimate goal of a portfolio and what I hope for it to look like one day. But this one I like to take one segment at a time. I'm not going to blink and all of a sudden have a portfolio of this size. It's going to take very systematic steps to get there, and it's important to celebrate each milestone that's important to you along the way. Like as you noticed on this channel, I've done a couple already, and my next one will be celebrating the milestone of reaching the 50K mark, which hopefully, unless the markets keep doing what they're doing, should hopefully happen this year. But when that moment does come of the 50K mark, it'll be here on this channel, and we'll celebrate it. I break down these milestones because the picture is so far away, because it all starts with the vision. It really does. And then from there, it's just maintenance. And before you know it, you'll be at the finish line. And if you happen to be curious, I'm not sponsored by this website. It is my favorite for calculating my portfolio, my future portfolio. It's called the Hue Calc, or just type in dividend drip calculator on Google and you'll find it. And then you'll be able to play with your own scenarios. It's actually pretty neat. And for my next goal, given that I plan to retire at age 50, well, I'm a state California worker, and if I just happen to put in the time, I'll find myself building up a pension simultaneously, which is a defined benefit pension plan, meaning it is for life, as long as I live, of course. So I do have a lot of money on the line here. I can't call it quits anytime soon. But jokes aside, putting my time in with the state is a goal of mine. To put in at least 25 years as a state worker is the plan, in order to retire well and also get premium health insurance for life, which will certainly come in handy, as an earlier retirement at the age of 50. With that, or even earlier than age 50, comes challenges with health insurance. So hopefully when the time comes, I'll be able to at least have that part covered, which will definitely help. But it was ultimately one of my goals to work for the state. I've heard from a few adults growing up of this path, and everyone I know who did it and put in the time did actually end up retiring earlier than the norm. Early in the working career, I decided to take my path into the state, if possible, and later I found out it was possible, as a nurse working for one of the state correctional facilities. And that's where I am. And so far what I've noticed, the benefits do tend to be better than the private sector. And so far from my experience, I think it's been worth it so far. And I could definitely see myself putting my time in, if you will. Lastly, as part of my bigger goals to share, if you remember my last year's video for age 25, I was really set on saving all of my extra cash to build up a cash reserve to hopefully soon buy my first home or rental property. But guess what? That one has actually changed and sits on the back burner for now. Instead, as I've mentioned in some of my more recent videos, I started a master's in nursing program this year. And so for all of my extra cash, it's all actually going there, to paying for this graduate program out of pocket. And given that I still prioritize yearly family and partner trips and vacations, my cash is all but net zero right now, or until I finish the program. But I'll say this, to hopefully inspire others. Sometimes, you just have to bet on yourself. Take a short-term detour for a long-term bump in quality of life. I found myself in the position that if I go back to school now, for example, I can later down the road find myself really improving my financial condition. If the opportunities I'm aiming for ultimately fall into my lap following this detour, I'll get a substantial bump in pay, be able to work from home, and still be able to work for the state while doing so. All things I'd love to have. And given I'm 26, I still have many years to bet on myself with comfort. So I'm going to do just that and take advantage of it. I'm going to bet on myself right now. And maybe this can inspire you to do the same. The added stress from more school is only temporary right now. And it's going well so far, by the way. We'll see how it all plays out, but in the meantime, manageable is my new favorite word. And moving forward still, let's talk about my last week's portfolio's performance. As you can see, here we are this week in the Jesse's Cash Flow portfolio. We started this on July 20th of 2020, and here we are today through systematic and planned investing at $47,986.55. And the markets have been in a rut lately. It hasn't been very pretty, but here we are currently with a total return of 30.97% return, which equates to a total gain, according to M1 Finance's calculation, of $6,282.94. And if you break down this gain here, You can see for market gain alone, we're at $5,245.51, and our earned dividends is at $1,037. And like I said, it hasn't been pretty. So here's our last week's performance. Here's the last month's. So it's not pretty, and we are bleeding. But looking at the chart here, and now looking at the all-time chart. So maybe if we all complain, things will change, right? Is that how it works? Yeah, that's how that works. That's how that works. I'm now heading into the dividend activity section here. Starting on February 7th, we got paid by ABM Industries, $2.67. And on February 9th, we had our $500 deposit, which is our game plan every single week. And also on this day, we had the funnel of this, which included a $5.28 snowball. And lastly, here we are on February 10th, getting paid by Apple, $1.90. And I feel like I say it every time, but every time I see a dividend payout from Apple, I'll remember and look back to my very first dividend payout ever, which actually was from Apple, of 8 pennies. And here we are now, getting paid $1.90. We've come a long way. And as we come a long way, we'll continue to go a long way. We have a long way to go, but the process is fun. It's been a challenging one. But in saying all of this, starting tomorrow, we'll be closer to, I believe, March than we are to February, or the beginning of February. And that's how time passes. And then speaking of time passing, we just made it through 7 days. And because of that, we have a high chance of making it through another 7. And as always, I'll be here. And I'll see you then. And as always, take care.